What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark, back at TheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And today I'm taking a look at a film that I was offered an advanced screening of, and I really wanted once I found out what it was. This is Jeannette. It's a documentary. It is exploring one woman's story, and that story is hitting close to home. Click like and subscribe just because I really don't want to whore myself out in this video, but whatever. Um, so this is timing pretty perfectly. It's video on demand release with the Pulse Massacre, which is what Jeannette is a survivor of. I also live in Orlando, and I lived in Orlando at the time of the Pulse shooting. And I am LGBTQ film critic. And while I never went to Pulse, bars are not my thing, nightclubs are not my thing. I don't know, do I look like a maybe I do. I don't know, don't judge me. It's just, that's not part of my culture, is I don't just, that's not my thing. So I never had been to Pulse. Or, I don't know, any of the other bars, Southern Nights, P House, any of the other stuff. Never been to any of them. Just not my thing. But I had friends. And luckily that night, I did not have any that I lost at Pulse. And I almost did. I had a friend who started feeling ill and was going to go to Pulse to celebrate his birthday, and I just ended up not going. And I guess got a little bit of food poisoning or something early in the day and just ended up not going. It was Latin night. And I know he's felt grateful that he got sick since that experience, which is a weird thing to be grateful for at the end of the day, but anything that kind of keeps you away. It's sort of like knowing that Seth MacFarlane was supposed to be on one of the planes that struck the towers at 9/11. It's just like, it's when you know somebody who could have been there and could have, like real world possibility. And I also had friends who lost people at Pulse, and I went to several like memorial services for Pulse. I was working for the Fringe Festival at the time, and we had sort of like after it happened, like the community was still shell shocked, and we were doing like our volunteer party or something was quite somber. I also experienced From Broadway with Love, which was this amazing thing where a whole bunch of Broadway stars came. I was essentially a production assistant, but I was assigned to the talent in the back. I just ran around and made sure they had everything that they needed. Darren Criss borrowed my phone charger, which was the most interesting thing that happened to me all day. But yeah, a bunch of Broadway talent that came through and sang. And it's kind of evolved into From Here. I know this isn't a review of the movie yet. We're getting there. It kind of evolved. There's a musical From Here that went off Broadway that was about being from a town. It's sort of like Come From Away, which is a tough sell when you're like, it's the 9/11 musical, but it's really a musical about people watching and feeling the helplessness of not being able to do anything. And From Here is sort of about this town that is known for this thing, like a community, like people coming out of the community and doing that. And it had a little off-Broadway run. I think it's something that defines our community. We're still constantly talking about the Pulse Memorial. I know they're getting ready to demolish or whatever. And they had opened up sort of what remained for families and survivors only, not to the public or anybody like that, so that they could walk through the space one last time. It's been sort of memorialized the whole time. I've driven past it a number of times. I remember the sign, the the back when I could drive, yes, I used to be able to see the black sign with the white P on it. Unless my mind has completely failed me, which is totally possible. But um, I remember waking up that morning and turning on social media and being like, "What the?" And like my like whole Facebook feed was this. I turned on the news, and I usually turn my phone off at night, and I had like all these notifications, and my Facebook feed was blowing up, and everybody was checking in safe, and I just started reading, and I was watching people on television talking about family members and sort of people finding out in real time. They were worried because they hadn't found. There was a mother that they kept interviewing, and it's always stayed with me. She was outside, and her son hadn't checked in. Nobody knew where he was. He wasn't one of the already confirmed, and then they confirmed it, and it was just like soul crushing for her. And they kept going to her, and she kept being willing to be on camera, which is such a sort of like a devastating thing. I know so many people who weren't willing to do these interviews. MTV came down and did like a little documentary where they interviewed some of the survivors, um, and had like a little sort of thing that ran as a reminder. I can't remember, was it a year later? I can't remember when it ran. I think it was a year later because I think I could still see. And yeah, my blindness came shortly after Pulse. I was diagnosed and started losing my vision, but I could still see. And it's this thing. It just constantly. I know people with Pulse tattoos. One Pulse. The dancing. Keep dancing has been a thing. I remember like cities around the country lighting up in memorial, like rainbow colors. It's such a stark difference now where we are with the level of hate in this country and LGBTQ populations, and trying to continue to push people down who are already marginalized. It's not like we're not marginalized. We are. Like, we didn't like not become marginalized for a little while, and then we've always been trying to fight for equality and seeing maybe like a path to it, but it's not, that requires actual legislation, an actual like constitutional amendment for equality. So it's still a marginalized group, and that we are. So I don't really understand the pervasive knowledge to continue to kick somebody when they're already down and keep kicking them when they're down. Like you never want them to ever get up off the floor. It's kind of what it feels like sometimes. So when this came across my path and it was the tale of a survivor of Pulse, I obviously wanted to watch it. I don't know Jeannette. I don't know if I know anybody who knows Jeannette. Maybe. But I'm not like, we're like, the gay community is just not, we're not all like intertwined. Even within a city, I think there are still people who it's like, I don't know who that is. Or, I mean, we just can't possibly be that connected especially after all these years later. I mean, people move in and they move out and leave, and, it's totally different. So it's about her survival. She talks about her experience and coming out of it as a survivor, and she trains in this. She already was sort of a bodybuilder to begin with, and now sort of self-defense training, that kind of thing, becomes central to her, to who she is, and training other survivors to get this strength back. Because when you feel helpless, you feel helpless. I mean, and you want to do something to change that, to make sure that you're never feeling in that position ever again. I get that. Totally, I get that. there's a lot here about, her talking about her son, um, family members. She also goes through the hurricane that swept Puerto Rico and ravaged Puerto Rico happened, I guess, while they were also filming this documentary. The filmmaker found Jeannette through a photo shoot for like an anti-discrimination thing, and that's how she came to know Jeannette and spawned this story. Um, and it's interesting to see through the perspective because you get to see Jeannette as a survivor of Pulse. You get to see her represented through her community, through family members that are still in Puerto Rico. And you get to see her reaction to another horrific shooting we had down in Florida at Parkland, which is also, she reflects on having that happen at the same time. So it's not the most profound documentary in the world, I'll say that. But what it is it's an important one because Jeannette decided to allow herself to be on camera, not for fame purposes, but for the purpose of showing like what it is to be a survivor of and what it's like to remind people to continue to put a face and a voice to something. It's not the same thing, but it's like I'm on here and I always introduce myself as a blind film critic because it's important for me for everybody to know I'm blind because there aren't any. So if I'm trying to change the perception about that on here and trying to expand audio description and accessibility for people like me, that's kind of what I'm doing. I don't have a whole lot of opportunity to explore queer cinema all the time. It's Pride Month, so I'm trying to do a little bit more. But I do, like, I'm marginalized within being marginalized because I'm blind all the time. I can stand in a room and people won't be able to guess my sexuality, but people will pick up on the fact that I can't see real fast. So it's the thing that I can't hide. And it's the thing that I need the most help with. And not everybody feels comfortable talking about it. Not everybody feels comfortable about going on camera for it. I do podcasts. I do whatever I can to speak about our accessibility needs in this community. Also because I know being sighted and transitioning sort of what the difference is. So there's a lot that I can speak to. And I think what Jeannette is doing here is telling her story, but representing, she could be any of the survivors of Pulse. She could have been anybody who came out of Pulse that day, and the documentary would be just as meaningful and say just as much. It's just that Jeannette also has, but I'm not going to say she's the only Puerto Rican that survived Pulse either. So there's going to be somebody else who still lives in Florida, who's a Pulse survivor, who's also a lesbian, who also stayed in Florida during Parkland and also was emotionally impacted by Puerto Rico. But that's kind of the point, is to show that there are more and more people, and this is becoming a more and more relatable thing. There are more mass shootings in this country every day, and more victims of violent crimes. Gun violence is still the leading cause of death among children under the age of 18. So it's something that we still aren't talking about and need to be talking about. And by Jeannette having the bravery is just such an easy word to throw, but I can't find anything else to say. To have the bravery to allow herself to have her story told. It's not that Jeannette as an individual is such on the level of a documentary where you're like watching, you're like, well, I just saw a documentary on Obama. Now I'm going to watch a documentary on Jeannette. She stood with her community. She hasn't necessarily changed the world. She didn't invent something that she didn't radicalize or pass or stand and get legislation passed. Or sometimes we watch documentaries about people who have done these huge things. There's a documentary this month on Sally Ride, you know. So, but in sort of that verite fashion, when you're looking at somebody's life who's just like you, who goes to the grocery store, who just gets in a car, or maybe Ubers, you know, who binges something on Netflix that you probably binged. There's like a relatability, but there's also something here that's very different. And it's the fact that Jeanette's life was radically changed one night simply because she went out dancing. And that's it. That's it. And because um, she happened to be a part of a community that somebody didn't like. But that's not even that unique, because you could be part of any community. There are a lot of attacks right now on Jewish communities. So hate is hate, and hate attacks a lot of things. I think Jeannette is a beautiful documentary, and I appreciate the fact that it's here for everybody to see. And I think it is one story representing many voices. So if you have a chance to see Jeannette, please do. Especially if you have absolutely no idea what it's like to survive something like this. I think Jeannette does a really nice job of showing that there's a path forward while also being incredibly aware of this thing that always happened. It's like, it's not that by taking a step forward every day that she's forgotten where she was that night. It's that she is able to continue to find a way to introduce meaning into her life and a reason to keep dancing. So I'm going to give Jeannette an A because I can't find a reason to not give it an A. And admittedly, my bias is all over this. So if you don't think it's an A documentary, fine. That's you. Get it and create your own YouTube channel and talk about it. This is me and my channel. Yes, it doesn't have audio description, and I'm grading a movie that doesn't have audio description. Could I have benefited from it? Absolutely. And accessibility and everything like that. But there's just something about the importance of trying to get people to hear stories and experiences that I think matter. So that's it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks if you're a subscriber, even though I feel kind of icky on some of these, just hyping myself. And I will see you guys on the other side.